Right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Hump Day, Brendan in the labs with eScootNow. We've got a bit of time this week to sort of continue the series of videos of what's going on, and it is your right to switch on. Do you know what I mean? So catch up on those things that you need to do in life, as I have in the past week. Defrag. One of the things that I have needed to do has been to take the play out of the suspension in the Teverun 5 or 11 Plus. I'm going to take you through that in this video, and it applies the same as well to the NAMI, and I'll take you through some of the TurboTouch range of suspension parts, etc. that we've got through by eScootNow. So shout outs first, I guess, to Kevin, who popped a video in the eScootNow Facebook group yesterday. Much appreciate that. Much better than the 2 AM phone call from Perth, right? So Kevin's got one there with some little tips on some things that you should keep an eye on. Worth a giggle as well. About 4 minutes in, you'll find yourself rolling on the floor laughing. Caught up with the CEO from Western Australia the other day. He's our head of tech, and took him through some stuff that we're doing, and he sort of like said, what are you working for us for, you know? So he wants me to do a bit more of this sort of stuff. I was interestingly saw as well from NAMI, you know, the main cable, and obviously there are 2 versions of that, the newer versions for the NFC extra connector, and also the uplifted tail light at the back, extra connector for that. So you've got your long one up the stem, plus your little interconnect in between. Getting these ones through from the factory for the older non-NFC version, this one's snuck through, which is an interesting piece. I thought I'd show you quickly. It's got a copper braid like insulation all the way around it for one of the critical lines, which would suspect that there's some sort of insulation prototyping going on this one. Like, it doesn't look the best. It's got sort of, you know, ad hoc heat shrink on it, and the copper tape, which is good stuff, by the way. If you ever do need to insulate battery terminals and other types of things, high temperature insulation tape, polyamide, what do you call it? Yeah, polyamide. Great even just for your, you know, your 9-volt max type power connectors and that sort of stuff. Anyway, let's get on to the subject at hand. The subject at hand is suspension today, folks. And what we do have with suspension is a bit of play in the suspension eye. The little, so what we've done with, I had a Blade GT, right, and it came with just an average sort of Chinese shock. They probably cost about $10 US. Not much dampening in them, no rebound adjustment, but, you know, reasonable heavy spring and stuff. So, you know, they're right for the Blade GT. But yeah, in the GT Plus, you could uplift to the KKE shock. The KKE shock being pretty much the same shock that's in the NAMI, Bernie, etc. like that. So with your KKE, when I did the uplift on that, I noticed there's a little bit less play in it, just a little bit, but I did sort of pack it pretty thick with grease in the eye. So I've had a lot of play develop noticeably, and it's actually starting to make quite an audible sound now. And rather than sort of just hide it up with grease, I thought I'd address the root cause. Interestingly, the eye in these ones, which is some sort of steel metal sort of sleeve, which is good. In these, only 8mm, very small. So I suspect the pair screw at the top, and we all know what pair screws are like with regards to structural integrity, has bent a bit, and the pin down the bottom also, I'm pretty sure, 8mm. So they need to go out. We need to probably get some German engineered fibros, alright, so we can get them quite easy from Germany in whatever size we want. Hopefully, I'll have to check. But yeah, they do an M, what did I say, 8, I think. In various lengths, 32, 36, 40, 45, 50. So hopefully I can replace that pair screw at the top, and also the pin down the bottom in the eye down the bottom as well, because it's probably going to be pretty light grade Chinese steel, right? So we'll get some of the that going. That's also some of the other TurboTouch suspension parts come in there as well. So that's your dampeners, that's your spring element, right, and different shore ratings for those, along with your original spring and some aftermarket springs, but not the Chinese one, the actual German Vibros. So that's for your Wolf Warriors and all that sort of stuff coming up this year. So yeah, with suspension being a bit of a focus this year, and the TurboTouch range, like we did last year with the turbo treads and the tyres, going to hopefully improve a few things there. So alright, so back to this play. So what I'm going to do is basically strip it down, remove the swing arms, get to the suspension, see what we're dealing with. I can see here that we've got a 58mm pair screw with some M6 screws in it. So that's the original part from the factory, and then we've also got the shock absorber pin down the bottom, okay, which is probably going to be very similar to what you'd have on a NAMI. They're not incredibly heavy. That's the rear top, 80mm, and the front up the top you've got a shorter 50mm, so that's in your NAMI up the top. Those, I think they're all right. They don't shear. They don't look like they're gonna twist. They look like they're a reasonable pair screw. There's no actual bolts to go in them, but we can sort that out. And then that's the bottom one, right? Same front and rear. So these are all the same for the Bernie and the Blast. Okay, you're going different though for your Klima. You've also got your shaft for the swing arm as well that goes through and keeps the swing arm nice and tight. 168mm on those, Bernie only for that particular one. So what we're doing with the TurboTouch is that if you're finding you need to renew your shafts, right, to go through the eye and your suspension, we just do a kit. So you get everything in, you know, all 4 pieces. Probably won't need the suspension bushing. These are the ones that go on both sides of the suspension. Basically, there's one here put together already. So that's your 2 pieces there, you can see. And then your eye of your shock sits in the middle off there, right? Okay, so just remember with your KKE factory, it's like a nylon PU bushing. You get a bit of play in there. One way to address that, if you're staying with the original factory shock, the KKE, is to put a SF1 self-lubricating sleeve in there. They're just a bearing, and they just basically take up the slack. Right, so they're in the Manus hinge kits, part of the TurboTouch range. This is the best stable hinge uplift you can do for that thing, and we'll sell them all around the world. They're great. They're gold. Anyway, so with these shocks, which are here, which have just landed in a 155 lowrider or 165 version, nice and heavy. Pretty much the best shock you can get for the Bernie. Tested against EXA as well, and the original. The originals have got the KKEs seem to have a bit of a rebound issue, right? They're just not all there, and they've also got a lot of play in the end with that nylon bushing. So these are the about 12mm in the eye with factory pressed, I'd say self-lubricating copper sleeve bushing, etc. Same as what you'd have to stick in your KKE if you wanted to fill a gap. So look, they should hold your 11.98mm on your shaft, and these are a nice firm 12mm eye, and you can see there she fits like a dime. Tiny little bit of play, like 0.02 mil or whatever it is, 0.2 mil, whatever it is, not much. Can't even hear it. Right, so I would tack a little bit of grease in it just to help keep it going. And I suspect that probably my grease that's in here started to attract dust and dirt, and that's why it's making cracking sounds and that sort of stuff. I don't like to ride that at the moment. I don't feel it's safe. The structural integrity of the pair screw is potentially compromising its shear as well. So yeah, we need to look at that. We need to look at the bigger 72 volt Fighter Supreme as well, because this had the moisture in the display, so I might swap the displays over, because this one could be offline for a little bit while I take my time. And do take your time, work through things, don't rush it, and don't get distracted. Righto, so I did notice quite an increase in improved riding style when I went from the standard blade GT shock to the KKE, coil and oil hydraulic, particularly in rebound, but I didn't find it to be as good as, look, I call them TurboTouch shocks, because I've used these before in my Sliper Pro. That's the G30, which is the same as the Mustang G3 or whatever you want. There's a few others on the website. In a smaller shop, man, they're good shop. And that scooter for $3,000 has one of the best ride handlings possible, due mostly to that shock, which is these. So these are the FZ, I don't know, 3s or whatever they are. Anyway, they're on the website. If you just search TurboTouch on the eScootNow website, or NAMI suspension, or just search Google, because the whole bloody internet seems to rock up at my front door at the moment. That's why I've got 10 orders here and only 2 hours to do it. I'm still looking for someone too, by the way, that can pack an order. Anyway, back to this. So, given that you've got a bit of play, and it makes a bit of a sound and it's not quite right, and the dampening's not very good with the rebound in that KKE, you swap them out, no worries. When you swap out, you're not going to need that nylon bushing, you're not going to need any spaces or anything like that. Straight in, solid, done. So yeah, there's probably about 10 or 20 of those shocks here in stock. There's heaps more to get. These ones are actually already produced, but they're normally CTO, right? They've got to be produced for that spec length and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, they are crackers. There are a lot of shocks getting around in the NAMI Bernie, which are subpar. I don't know if it's a batch issue or if it's just the way they are, but like, you know, my Teverun's done 2,000 Ks and I'm not happy with that shock, never really was, and I'm going to sort of take the uplift. Unfortunately, these are the right length, but the Teverun's only running, well, at least the Fighter 11, a little 60 volter, is only running an 8mm eye, so I'm going to have to space 8 out to 12, which might be a trip down to Bulkmasters, or wherever you go locally. Yeah, or I'm going to go and get a better shaft, right? That's thicker, stronger, German engineered. But you know, that might be over engineering. All right, so yeah, just that's. I think there's probably a few other things I had to mention, but that will do. We've already had a couple of videos today. Have a good week, folks. Enjoy your hunt. Ciao.